that's what Mitch was talking about. Oh, hello. She pressed record and I didn't know.
Also, we just started it 3 minutes ago and we had to stop it because I realized I hadn't even turned my mic on. And I was like, oh my God, you'll probably hear you, but not me. And I'll just be a mouse talking in the background.
Hot mess here.
We have a circle tonight and it's hectic. And we're in Kira's house because Kira kindly drives us up because...
We're in my bedroom because my son is in the living room playing on his device and he's never quiet when he's playing on that. And Adam's been in and out asking, do we want dinner? And Willow's in and out and making stuff. And
my daughter's already texted me like 17 times because I phoned her earlier and she's now texting me saying, hello. And I'm like, oh my God, I will call you in a minute.
So now we're literally hiding in my bedroom, a little bit flustered because we're on it a short time frame because we've got to get to Circle soon. But, you know, this is how we roll.
It's fine.
Nothing is perfect in life and we keep it real.
Sometimes they're a hot mess.
We keep it real.
Okay. We just wing it. So, Witchworth number 5, Naomi, if you don't know, Kira. And what we wanted to, so we're not doing divination just because it's a long video and we've had hectic months last month. We've both had a lot going on personally and we've both been hot messes in our lives. And really we wanted to talk about worth and how we manifest what we want out of life and how sort of witchcraft and things can help that. So just to quote something, I actually don't know where I heard it from now, but it said basically, we surround ourselves, we need to be careful who we surround ourselves with, right? Because who we surround ourselves with is an extension of our energy. So it's okay to be selective, which is correct. We should be selective. And as Kira said, you know, we have friends that come in and out of our lives that don't stay, and that's fine too. But sometimes as well, we end up sort of, it's because we're in the life that we're in the age that we are, right? And we have families and kids and everything else. We are very obligatory, if that's the right word. Like we have
obligatory,
right? Like, and so we sort of say yes to things we don't want to say yes to because they're friends of our friends or they're friends of our kids. And that's not to say that you can't be polite and everything else, but also where do you value your time?
Yeah.
Right. And life is so busy. We are so busy because we have a lot going on personally that is not going to go anywhere anytime soon, right? It's sort of a long journey for both of us. Different things, but it's a long journey. I think this is actually a perfect time to think about where do we value our time and how do we create pockets of time to do witchcraft and to be spiritual and to be in that headspace and to make sure that we're being selective with our energy, right? And it's like, and it's okay to say no to, it's like, well, look, I just go because I feel obligated to go, or because I've been going with you for 3 years to this thing. I feel obligated to go. But at the end of the day,
it doesn't serve you anymore. It doesn't serve you.
Like it doesn't serve you. Yeah. And if you need that time, take the time.
Yeah. So I was saying before we had to restart, people and things come into your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And I think you need to be very mindful of that. And don't be afraid to say this reason or this season is over and move on. Like if you look at tarot, the major arcana goes through the life cycle of the Fool at the start of the journey to the World at the very end. And then it goes back again around a cycle. And that's just how life is. And when you can kind of accept that concept, it's easier to look at things in your life and go, I'm done with this now. It's time to move on. I've got a new journey to start. I've got new likes, new dislikes, new whatever. And, you know, go down that path, I suppose, of where life is leading you.
Yep. Totally agree. So it's important to check in with yourself. It's important to check in with how you're feeling, what your responsibilities are for the week, what your obligations are, and it's okay to cut back on things. Again, we feel we take more on instead of cutting back when we should be cutting back. My sister's a great example of that because she cuts back on everything and she's so cutthroat. That's why we're so different, me and my sister, but we are best friends. because we're different and we're the same. Like we're literally nearly identical in values and morals and things like that there, but she operates in a very different way. And I find it hard to be cutthroat and blunt, whereas it's very easy for her. So, well, is it easy? I don't know if I would say it's easy for her, but she can do it quite easily. She just sort of like,
she's probably well versed in it. She's done it for
she's
such a
well
long
versed in it,
time.
and it's just the way she is. So I think I like that, because then when I check in with her and I talk to her, I get this very realistic sort of take on things, where she's like, you just need to do this. And would they do it for you? She says that to me all the time too. She's like, would they do that for you? And I'm like, no, they wouldn't. She's like, so
she's kind of like the hanged man for you.
Yeah, she's perspective, and she's kind of emperor energy too. Emperor energy. And when you talked about tarot earlier, that was really good, because I was thinking, like, sometimes as well we use tarot, and if you do collect a lot of decks and you have decks for certain things, because tarot decks have certain vibes, like certain imagery that is for certain things or whatever. Sometimes we can be done with a tarot deck as well, because it's served its purpose, like a friend. And it's time to let it go, or time to have it move on, or you put it away somewhere where you don't touch it again, because you think, I've done it did what it needed to do for me during that time, and that's it.
And there's nothing wrong with that either. You know? Same with people. There's nothing wrong with letting people go. You know, they've got their own journey to be on and whatnot. So
when we're talking about witch worth, and we're talking about our worth as people and as witches, and it's all one and the same thing, because I don't differentiate it in my life. Like, when I consider myself a witch, I just consider it as it encompasses everything that I am and the whole of me. So when I say as a witch, I mean in my magical and my mundane life. I don't really want to go into triggers and trauma and different things, but I did want to touch on it, because we've had such a really difficult month last month, and it's sort of like now going to be a long journey. We are the carers for certain people, and although it's not happening to us, we are the support system, and not just, we're each other's support as well, but we are the support system for those people that are on these long journeys. But on top of that, we are also feeling the effects of not only the energy of what those people are bringing, we're also finding it difficult to navigate our own lives, I would say, and deal with our own emotional sort of like tethering or whatever to it, and finding the time to sort of like check in with ourselves. And, you know, we're compartmentalizing a lot of stuff, which is okay. Sometimes we have to do that, but what's happened, again, similarly in our lives, we're going through very similar things, but for two very different things. What's happening is we're getting triggered. Would you say that's the right word?
Yeah.
We're getting triggered by certain things, and that's hard to navigate, because the triggers are coming at weird times, right? So for you, it wakes you up in the middle of the night, and you're thinking about it at certain times. For me, I think sometimes, it's not that I think I'm over it, but I like, we'll be fine. And then someone like the doctor, I was at the doctor's with this person the other day, and with them as their support. And then the doctor asked me something, I burst into tears, and you know, the doctor was like, and I was like, oh my God, don't ask me. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not avoiding it, but I don't know you, and I don't want to talk about it, and this is not the right space. And I'm just like, no. And then I realized again that I'm triggered by a lot of things, and that's quite recent. And how do we work through our triggers? So this is all part of your worth, right? It's part of your witch worth. It's part of your worth as a human being, as a mother, as a supporter, as a carer, whatever it might be. So I think the most important thing to think about when you're thinking of triggers is, A, what triggers you? It's being aware that you're triggered in the first place.
Yeah, and
not just having a bad day.
There is nothing wrong with that. You just need to be aware of it.
Being aware of it.
Work through it.
That's the first step. Second would be, I suppose, making a mental note. Oh, that's triggered me. And then at some point when you have time, trying to work out, why was I triggered in that moment? And what is it about that moment, or the person, or the word that was said, or wherever, or maybe the situation or the environment?
Yeah.
What is it about that triggered me? And then you can start to build basically like a trauma central, right? You can sort of like start to build where this is going and what it looks like, and then you can start to work yourself out of that maze.
Yeah.
So, and
for some people, it works better to do that on their own.
Yes.
Because they really struggle to work through it with someone else. And for other people, it works really well to work through with someone else. So it could be your witchy sister, it could be your biological sister, it could be your best friend, it could be your doctor, psychologist, whoever it is. If you have someone, utilize that person.
Yep. So I think we just wanted to check in because we are in that vibe at the minute, and it just to tell people, seek help if you need help, seek support wherever you want to seek it. It can be medical, it can be family, it can be friend, it can be coven work, it can even be a work colleague. Right? Sometimes people feel better talking to someone random rather than, check in, right? If you're being triggered and you notice a pattern that you're being triggered all the time by a certain thing or person or situation or a word or whatever, that is important. As a person, as a human, as a female, as a witch, it is really important to be aware of your triggers and to be aware of why you're being triggered, and not to get into it because otherwise it would be too long. But triggers can be, they can be trauma that's been in your life from your from very young, from recently. They can be traumas from past boyfriends or family or friends or toxic work situations. They can even be traumas from past lives, right? And ancestors and all sorts of things. So I know that there is a curse in my line that we've been trying to break, and it's a whole thing, and it comes from my mother's side, and my mother's the one that has to break it. So we've been doing work on that. But not to get into that, but what I'm saying is there are triggers that I feel connect with me at certain times for certain things. And I've had really weird visualizations about stuff like that. So I think it's just important to know it. And it could be religious triggers too, right? Like maybe you're wrestling with religion versus your witchcraft versus,
belief systems.
Yes. All of that kind of stuff. Upbringings. So just maybe take a moment to be aware.
Yeah. Try not to wrestle with it. Just try and sit with it.
Just try and sit with it.
It can be very difficult.
Make a note of it. Journal it, right? Yeah. So this month and continuing, I've been really working on my journal a lot, and it has been so therapeutic for me. I have been writing in all my trigger words. And all of these things, and I showed my sister the other day. I'd copy and paste, I'd glued in images and I'd written words and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's very private, but I obviously trust my sister. And I showed her, and she goes, "Holy hell!" She says, "Jesus, holy hell, man!" I was like, "I know." I said, "I know it looks really dramatic, but it's meant to because I'm doing it from a very personal place." And I started to then not make excuses, but I started to almost put disclaimers in for some of the words that I'd use because they're very triggering, confronting words. But then my sister was like, see, this is why she's my perspective. She was like, "You don't need to make an excuse." She said, "If you felt that way at the time, that is a perfectly acceptable word to use, and it's your journal, and you can put whatever the hell you want in there."
Absolutely.
So just because you look back at it, or someone might see it and think, "Oh, those are really confrontational, major words," it's this is this thing again where women are not being allowed to just say what they want and have the words sit out there in space, right? It's okay to feel this way, and if you think that word and that word encompasses everything that you feel at that moment, that's okay. It doesn't matter that it's confronting or
it's not for anybody else.
It's for you. Yeah,
it's wholly and solely for you and
so
your
that's
feeling.
A good one, right? I can write. So I've written stuff down. I must show you. Well, I was going to say I must show you, but I think you'll be really you're like, "Whoa."
I probably will be, but at the same time, I'll be like,
But you have to remember too that was put in at the time.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of the journal.
Absolutely.
There I am making excuses again. What I'm saying is don't make excuses for how you feel.
Yes,
if you put it in the journal, just put it in the journal.
You don't even have to ever go back and read it.
No.
And you don't have to show it to
burn
anyone.
it afterwards if you wanted.
Set that fucker on fire.
So we wanted to talk about that because that's part of shadow work, and it's coming up to Samhain as well. And I think it's important. It's that in Australia, it is coming up to Samhain. So, and Samhain's all about retreat, right? It's coming into the winter. It's about shadow work. So it's probably pretty relevant for us. So we'll do more on that later, but that's just a check-in for how things are doing. Anyway, we've both been listening to, we love Pam Grossman, and we've both been listening to Pam Grossman's Witch Wave podcast, which, oh my God, it's amazing. And
if you haven't, you should go and check it out.
Yes, I love Pam. I go to her witchy online things, and I've read her books, and I just might have a girl crush on her, to be perfectly honest. A witchy crush. Anyway, so she's great. I love how she explains out things, and I love how she explains her heritage and how she became a witch and how she identifies with a witch. And anyway, so she was talking with, is it Mitch? I said
Mitch
Horwitz.
Horowitz
Could be pronounced that way. I apologize. Should have really got the pronunciation right. And he was. You want to talk about it or?
So they were talking, I don't even know what the title of the podcast was.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think that was relevant.
But there was certain parts in it that we both picked out about intentional wishes and magic, and when to perform magic, like when to cast your spells or wishes, and, you know, what to do and all this sort of stuff. And it just really sort of hit home for Naomi and I. Actually, Naomi was listening to it first. She was like, oh my God, I have to tell you about this. Wait till you hear. And if she was telling me last weekend, I was just like, yep, I need to go and listen. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
I know. You were like,
so true.
What number is it? And I was like, it's like 146 or 143 or something.
146.
146. I was right the first time.
So, yeah, do you want to talk a bit about what you picked up?
Mitch, I really actually enjoyed Mitch. He's a bit of a trailblazer, and but I really enjoyed his talk, and I loved him and Pam's like interaction with each other. And I really basically what he was saying, and it really made a lot of sense. Like, forgetting about gender, but as a male, he was talking about witchcraft stuff. But I was taking it from a female perspective in terms of what he was saying, and it made a lot of sense to me. So basically, we're talking about manifestation, which is really hard to do when you are in shadow work or you are being triggered. But sometimes that's why manifestation is actually really important, because it's a form of self-care, is when we're manifesting what our goals are. It's to help us not ruminate on certain things we shouldn't be ruminating on. It's important to have us keep moving forward, even if it's just by small steps, right? So, and that manifestation could be anything, right? It can be healing, it can be wish magic, it can be abundance, it could be a goal that you have in mind. It could be any of those things. And what Pam basically asked him was, do you think happiness can be obtained through magical means, right?
And he was
like absolutely adamant. He was like, yep, 100%. And what he basically said was, because to him, he feels like self-expression is what makes us happy, which I completely agree with.
Absolutely.
So self-expression is different from creativity. Sometimes creativity can mean creating things. But self-expression is, to me, in my opinion, self-expression for me is about how I express how I am as an entire person, how I am as a witch, how I am in the mundane world, the whole shebang. So, and it can be how I operate in work, how I am with my children, how I am when I do witch stuff, how I am with my witchy sister, whatever. So, and self-expression can mean lots of things. You can be creating during that time, or it's just about self-expression. So really not.
I think it's like just being true
really,
to yourself.
really true to who you are, and having no mask, and being vulnerable, and being confident. And
I guess it's kind of like being fully
yourself,
100% aligned with your
authentic
values. Yeah, and who you are to the core.
Yeah.
Absolutely to the core. Not the mask that you put on when you drop the kids off at school or when you go to work, or, you know, who you truly are when you're just by yourself and there's no judgment from anyone or anything, just 100%.
Self-expression.
Yeah.
So, and so the way he explained it was self-expression. And when we perform magic, we are performing self-expression. And I was like, that is 100% true. I feel when I perform magic of any kind, whether it's divination, spell work, rituals, offerings, whatever, I feel very, very self-expressive and very authentically myself. I feel just there are no boundaries for me. There are no rules. There are no laws. I just create. I just express. So, and when we are in that pure state of self-expression, we are truly happy. And I would agree with that because I feel very, very just at peace and completely and utterly like, this is what I want to do. Mm. So I would agree with that. So he said that, and then he mentioned, he mentioned this too, which I thought was really interesting. I suppose I never thought about the life is a relationship. And when he said that, that really hit home too, because I thought life is a relationship. And he's basically like, so what are you getting out of it? Is it being nurtured? Are you self-expression through it? Like it's giving you everything that you need to have. So forget about having relationships with your partners or your family. Like you're having a relationship with life. Mm. And how do you want that to look?
I guess it's kind of like when you said that to me last weekend, I had a bit of trouble trying to get my head around it. But when you said it just now, I very much dropped into the self-love.
Yeah.
You know, I've always heard that if you truly love yourself, and I'm not talking about in an egotistical arsehole way, but if you truly can love yourself, you will never, ever be without love.
No, never.
Because you're the one that is giving it to you.
Yeah, and it's all around you.
And you saying...
life is a relationship.
Quoting Mitch, yeah, life is a relationship. If you nurture that relationship, it can be anything you choose.
Yeah. It can look any way you want it to look. It can develop however you want it to develop.
Yeah.
And it's all around you. Like life, when he said life, I was like, he's talking about, like I was thinking Mother Earth, nature, the cosmos, spirit. And I do feel really, really loved. Like I think as well, that's why I feel so at home in magic, because I feel totally supported and in my element. Like it is 100% what I am meant to do and where I'm meant to be. And I don't feel any pull anywhere else. Like I just want to know more about it and delve into it deeper and constantly, acknowledge my craft and acknowledge me as a person and feel seen by spirit. And that has a knock-on effect in your real life, because when I feel seen by spirit and seen in my craft, and I feel very seen when I'm outside of, when I'm in my work or I'm in my family. And I think it gets easier then to put in boundaries and say, this isn't right for me, or this needs to stop, or, because I'm in a relationship with life, and that's first and foremost.
Yeah.
Right? Because we were born here to have a relationship with this experience, this life.
Yep.
So have the experience. Don't forget about it, because I think we get bogged under with obligation and responsibility and motherhood duties and work duties and bills and being a wife and
being busy.
And it's like you're in a relationship with life first.
Yeah.
I should maybe bring that up a circle tonight. So we're going to close off because we really just wanted to jump on very quickly, but I basically just wanted to talk about wish magic and how basically Mitch talks about how we manifest and he was basically saying that he feels when we manifest anything, and manifestation is really your intention, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be an abundant intention. It could be anything. But when we do that sort of wish magic, it should come from, this is his words, it should come from a very primal, private place. And he believes this because it is between you and the cosmos, and it becomes its truest form when it's between you and yourself, your personal self. And how he explains this, which I thought was brilliant, was when we're in pain and we're going through trauma and we're being triggered and we're going through things together, we want to share, right? And we want to get different perspectives, and we go to certain people for advice, or sometimes we just want to vent and we need a sounding board or whatever. But when we're doing that, we do feel like, although we're not getting solutions from those people, we do feel better. And as Mitch puts it, that's because it the problem is being diluted through conversation. And I was like, yes, it is. And that is why sometimes you need to talk more and more about the trauma, or more and more about the things that are happening.
Yeah, well, they say
and it dilutes it each time to the point where you feel it's done. But when it comes to wish magic, we don't want it diluted through conversation. We want it to come from a very primal, instinctual place. And I was like, oh my God, yes. Yes, we do. Because that is its truest, most authentic form. And that is between. So that then got me thinking about, he was like, you have to be radically honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. And the radically honest part, I had a real epiphany too, because I once heard a monk speak years ago, and he was basically saying that, to paraphrase, he was basically saying, why is it that when we're angry and we're in a state of anger, we feel so much clarity in that moment? And for me, because I'm just with my life, that is an emotion I feel on a regular basis, and I can click into it very easily. And the other emotions I have a more difficult time with. And people that know me would be like, really? And I'm like, oh yeah, you just don't see it. But yeah. So what it was basically, and it is so true, because when I'm in a state of, and it doesn't have to be anger necessarily, but when I'm in a state of anger, or I'm in that real frustrated, angry state, I am so clear in that moment about why I'm angry, or who I'm angry at, or the situation that I'm angry at, and the things I want to say or do or whatever. And it's not about acting on those things or reacting. It's about that, how you feel in that moment. And I think that is true. Well, it's definitely true for me. There is a real clarity in that anger state. And what Mitch is basically trying to say is that radically honest clarity has to be present when you're doing wish magic. And so I've been a witch for a long time, and suppose I just do things naturally, but then I never really thought about it in a particular way until I heard Pam's podcast. And I was like, oh, that has got me really thinking about lots of things, which then led me on to think. And then we had this discussion with Kira, and I said, so I feel like that clarity when I'm in that anger state, that is difficult for me when I'm in a manifestation state. I'm clear about what I want, but am I radically honest? Am I truly, authentically honest? And I would say, in all honesty, I don't think I am. And that is because I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a co-worker, I'm a support person. And I said, this got me thinking about women in general. And I said, why do women find it hard to be really radically honest when they are manifesting? And that is because we are built and raised to not ask for what we want. So when we do manifestation work, and I was talking to my dad about this, I said, we almost say it like this here. Look, I really want this job, but I mean, if you feel like it's not the right job, that's okay. Like, if you want to say something else, that's okay. Or I really, really need this, but like, look, I mean, I'm okay if you feel it's not the right time. Yeah. We put disclaimers. So when we're doing manifestation, we're diluting it ourselves because we're putting disclaimers in, because we find it really hard to just say, this is what I want. And that is because inherently, as a generalization of feminine energy, we are not selfish. Because we're nurturers. We're carers. Womb bearers. We're carers. We're supporters. And it's very hard for us to be selfish. And to be radically honest when it comes to manifestation and wish magic, you have to be selfish, as in you have to really say what you want to say, and you can just say it and not feel guilty about it. Yep. That is really, really hard to do. So that is what we would, just want to leave that out there and then just close the podcast. So
no, I've got one more thing to talk about.
Yeah, no, go. Oh no, I was joking. No, when I said close, I meant like, and that's it, and ended on that note. But do you agree, right? Because you were like, oh my God, that's so true.
Yep. And when you were talking earlier about showing me what you'd written in your journal and you were justifying what you had written, that's the same as when you're doing manifestation.
Yeah.
you feel like you have to justify.
I felt
what you're
selfish
asking for.
writing in those things
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings.
But they're not reading it.
But I was like, but why am I worried about that? Like, I'm hurt. I'm the victim.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So on that, Mitch was also talking about anarchic magic, and I just absolutely love this. So we have, as we've said, we have zero time, and we're all about trying to make sure that we are looking after our worth and really just nourishing ourselves. And I have always felt that anytime I'm doing magic or divination or even just reading, like I feel like I have to set the tone.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm doing a spell, it has to be on the right moon cycle, or it has to be at the right time of the day. And I have to have all the right ingredients. And yes, a lot of that stuff is important. But at the same time, Mitch was saying anarchic magic is kind of like chaos magic's cousin.
Oh, yes.
Right?
That is such a good
and it's,
phrasing.
Yeah, it's the opposite of ceremonial magic. So a lot of the time when we perform magic or spells or rituals or whatever, it's very ceremonial, where you'll use the moon cycles and you'll use the right time of day and all of this sort of stuff to make sure that it is the most powerful, which is important. Absolutely. Like, I'm not diluting the fact that that is not important, but there are specific times when spirit will invoke you and you should heed that call.
I love that.
Yeah. So if you're driving along and something comes into your mind of, I need to say this chant, and you don't know what that chant is, like it just comes into your head, or you have this song that just constantly comes into your head, or just you keep hearing it everywhere.
Synchronicity.
It's spirit trying to talk to you and trying to give you the signals that you need to not wait for the perfect moment, because it might not come, and you need to do it now. So Mitch was saying he will sometimes pray in the New York State Library, because that's just where he feels called to do it. Do you know what I mean? So if you're sitting on your lunch break and all of a sudden you feel called to do this chant, or you're sitting at the traffic lights and all of a sudden you feel like slapping your head.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You need to listen to those subtle synchronicities that are coming in and act on them. That doesn't mean that, if you're standing in the rain and you hear a voice in your head saying, go and steal that car, that you can go and do it. You can't. That's just
there's right and wrong.
Random shit. But it can be really, really powerful to act on that anarchic magic moment when it comes to you. And on that too, Mitch was also saying that you need to be very in tune with what's going on around you.
Yes.
That what you ask for may not come in a big bang. Like, you might ask for a new job, and the job that you apply for you don't get, but something happens in your current job that could be what you've actually wished for.
Yeah.
And you need to look out for these subtle things that come along that could be the answer to your spell or your wish or your manifestation.
Right. Sometimes it comes liminally. Sometimes it comes through the mundane. Yeah. Sometimes it comes in a way that you didn't expect, and you have to be open to it. So we basically have to be flexible and open. We can't just have a closed. And I think what comes from that too is having freedom of thought.
Yeah.
Which is very hard to do when you're a woman and you have a lot of obligations and responsibilities. I actually do not have a problem with that side of it, because I am in my witchy self all of the time. I do my witchy stuff in the morning. I'm always thinking about it, and we're always like, so for me, I'm always aware, and I'm always picking up on signals and signs. So I feel like if I did proper manifestation magic, I would pick up on those signs, whether it's liminal, mundane, but it's a good checking point.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part is being completely radically honest and authentic
Yeah.
when it's very difficult to not put disclaimers in or say things like, well, but and it's like, stop with the buts.
Yeah.
It's not selfish to ask for what you want, but it's hard to be selfish when you are selfless and you come from that motherly sort of vibe. So I like how you've put that. I love that you said, like, I remember him saying he prayed in the library and stuff, but I must have missed that when he said, like, spirit can intervene and just like hit you like a jolt of lightning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I must look out for that. I'm sorry, I gotta leave this meeting. I'm being called by a higher power. I've got to go. Let's wrap it up.
Speaking of which,
Mitch says, that's his Pam said, like, are you worried, because his new book, right? Aren't you worried that people are going to say, Mitch says I can do whatever the fuck I want? So I'm just going to do
does
that.
not say that.
And it's like, you obviously have to be ethical in everything that you do.
Absolutely.
And come from a place of ethics and morals and your values. And I always try to do stuff with integrity. But we just wanted to put it out there because we really have to go. So we have to go to circle. We're going to be late. But what a profound and really, like, I'm going to work on the radically honest things. That's very hard in manifestation.
Yeah.
But
so if you want to listen to that podcast, it's The Witch Wave by Pam Grossman.
Number 146 in particular. All of her stuff is good, but that one in particular just got me really, like, I was like, oh my God, I need to make notes.
Yeah.
I need to make notes.
I'm pretty sure that starts at about 106.
Yeah.
An hour and 6 minutes or thereabouts. If you specifically want to listen to the part that we were talking about. It's a fabulous episode.
It is really good, yeah.
But if you want to specifically listen to what we've been talking about today, it starts at about an hour and 6 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, anyway. Jinx. That's it. We got to go to circle. So we will see you on the flip side. And we'll maybe do divination on the next time. We'll see how we feel.
Yeah.
We do whatever the hell we want.
It will come at some point.
All
anyway, keep the magic going.
Bye.
Bye.